Isaiah Thomas years, they were good because they had Isaiah Thomas who could score, but then they had guys like, I feel like, well, Avery Bradley was there for a year. Crowder was a really good defender. Turner, Baines, like really good defenders who could also score if they needed to, surrounded one guy who wasn't as good. Who wasn't as good of a defender, and who could just score 29 a game. With this team, the Celtics, their stars, I mean, they kind of have the same thing, except their supporting cast can't defend and they can't score. So what do they do? They're just taking up space.
It's like a combined age of 7.
No, I know.
They're all like,
and this comes back to the issue that Danny has with keeping
draft
picks. Why?
These guys, Felger asked Danny this question and he like shrugged it. Do you regret hoarding your draft picks? And he was like, 3 or 4 years ago, the Celtics were supposed to be one of the best teams ever because they had so many assets, so many draft picks to use, and then Danny just uses them we love Pritchard, but there was no reason to use their first round picks this year. Zero. You can keep that. You can keep that Pritchard. One. What?
Well, why? Well, because you're a Lakers fan. But there was no reason to
keep
use
that
them.
pick. Trade the 14th that you had this year. Trade the 14th that you had the year before for Romeo. What are you doing with those picks?
Was drafting Romeo Langford and Aaron Nesmith really worth it? No,
or
not even close.
Or even trading that Grizzlies pick a year or two earlier because Grizzlies pick because it had a lot of value early, and then once the Celtics realized, they were like, oh shoot, this is going to be 14th because the Grizzlies are too bad to make the playoffs, but then they are too
not
good.
Bad enough to be.
They're not bad enough to be a lottery team. So that Grizzlies pick kept going down in value. Like he just sits on and now they don't really have any. They just have their own for the next few years. So it's really just a mess. I don't know why he keeps drafting and just keeps on to these guys so that he can draft guys who will play maybe a season, maybe a half a season, and then go down to the G League, and then they'll be on to a new team or out
drafting
of the league.
Tremont Waters was a late second, but like drafting Grant, I like Pritchard. I love Pritchard.
Yeah, but there's no need. There was no need. They had Carson.
Grant,
they don't. That's the other thing.
Over the last 3 years, Grant, Romeo, Nesmith, Rob Will, Pritchard, and then second round guys that you don't really count. But those are the 5 first round picks.
Realistically, Rob Will's the only one that I liked because he was a steal in the late first round. And he was a steal in the late first round. Everything else, that's the other thing he also does. He drafts without thinking of who he has. Carson Edwards, fine, he didn't play. No, realistically,
so
he didn't play a ton last year, but that's because he was on a loaded team. Why then do you draft another rookie point guard in Pritchard to just have Carson sit on the bench now? There's no development. I mean, we always joke on how the Lakers development is trash, but the Celtics is starting to decline because they don't give guys a chance. Like Carson, sure, he was a second round pick, but he was a fine player. If you let him play a little bit, he could be a solid role player in 3 years. Now he's just stuck behind Pritchard and Teague, and he's just riding the bench, not really getting minutes.